That's just the weirdness. And then we're continuing back down in October. We're all the way down to 765. So we're about where we started in January, sales price wise. Horrible, no. Let's look at that as a bigger situation. We're going back to 04, and you see here, this is when we discovered liar loans. And so everybody was buying all kinds of stuff when they couldn't afford it. And then interest rates change, and here's the recession right here, right? Bottomed out in 09, and then started, leveling out. And then 2012 started staircasing back up. And then what happened here was right around here, pandemic. Everybody lost their mind and started going crazy over houses, right? And then this is where we started off the year, and now we're going down. Alrighty, and so that means we're absolutely 100% in the buyer's market, right? Not really, because
you could do that part.
We don't have any other listings.
Thank
you. This was how many listings we had back in 06, 07, like 25,000. Earlier this year, around January, so we were down to 1,700. Right now, we're around 4,000. That's not enough. Even though a lot of people are sitting on the fence, a lot of people aren't buying right now. There's still a situation where there's still not enough inventory. So that's sort of keeping it. All the experts, so-called experts, are saying it's an average market. Buyers are not acting that way. They're acting like they're the cat's meow, and they're coming in with low prices. Sellers haven't caught up to the reality that the market has changed, and they think their place is worth more than it is. And so there's a lot of like old-fashioned negotiating going on, and I kind of like that. It makes it kind of like a Socratian kind of market, to where you present your side, we'll present my side, and in the middle, we're going to come up with something good that's fair for both folks. Months of inventory. I mean, you can see it used to take up to 13 months to sell a place. Now that was back in the days where short sales were going on. So that was a lot of that. And if you ever had the pleasure of going through a short sale, the banks didn't know what to do with it. And so they would take the info in and sit on it. They would send it up to Wall Street, to whatever hedge fund guy had that note in his purse. And it would come back down, and they would argue about it, whatever, and we would just languish. And the buyers that held on would buy the place, sellers would get out of that mortgage, but a lot of times those would fall out. So anyway, right now,
I'm sorry, Jackie. Ignorant question, but what is a short sale specifically?
Means you owe this much and you sell it for this much, and the short is applied to the bank. They're getting shorted.
Okay.
So you're selling it under what your note is.
Oh, okay.
Not under value, but under what the mortgage is. So the bank is going to take less than what's owed. And the bank would rather do that than foreclose on you.
I see.
It saves them a ton of money and a ton of time.
But they'll accept that.
Usually, I've been told no and given a digit of the middle finger kind by banks, and you don't understand why, because the same bank accepted one that was better or worse terms than that, and you just every product was different. Product meaning the house, and then every asset manager was different within that bank, and every bank had its own rules too. So it was a fight every time. We don't have that many short sales going on right now. There's only 6 active in the whole county. And that's because the new loan standards are much better than the old ones. And there's no more liar. If you've done anything, a refi or got a loan lately, you know they crawl through your DNA. And they know if you are good for this loan or not. So anyway, right now we went way up. Before it was only 0.7 months earlier this year when something would go into escrow. And now we're up to almost 2 months. And you can still see though, that's ridiculously short. And again, that's because we just don't have enough on the market. And sold listings, and this looks like a lie detector. Craig, are Air Force people genetically better than Army people? Okay, since you're telling the truth. Just wanted to make sure about that. Something that's kind of interesting, the showings per listing obviously went way down since it was super hot in January. But it's very even since May. So people are still out there looking, but what we don't know is this the same 4 people? They could just be going around, driving around looking. We don't know that. But that's where we are right now. People are still showing, people are still looking, places are still selling. It's just a lot harder right now, and it's a lot slower. And so if you are buying or selling a house, you know, if you're a buyer, be ready, get with Sean, get with your lender, have all your ducks in a row. If you like a house and you see it, make sure you can afford it and buy it. Write an offer on it, because I promise you it won't be there, because there's something magical that happens when you like a place, even though it's been on the market for a couple of months, that unleashes something and somebody else likes it. And I've lost houses where I lost deals from my clients where they said, no, I want to wait till Monday. Okay, Monday, do you want to write an offer now? Yeah, let's write an offer. Call up the other agent. Oh, that's too bad. We just signed an agreement a half hour ago. And that's literally happened to me in different types of markets. The half hour was the worst case scenario, but definitely by a day or two. And you wait over the weekend. If you like a place, if it's within your budget, if it's within your parameters, do it. Don't wait around.
So is that guy in the Army?
That guy was no more beating up on Craig. No more beating up on sellers, if you plan to sell in this market. Yeah, no, and that's only because, and we talked about it, you know, that we had no integrity in our sister service, as they call them. Anyway, but so if you're a seller, get ready. You're going to have to make some concessions. Either it be a lower price, or you're going, and Sean will talk about this, helping the buyer out with their interest rate, covering their closing costs. Sean did my loan for me. We bought a house earlier, 4 or 5 months ago, something like that. We had the seller pay for all our closing costs. And if you're VA, we got in there. We got in there with actually no money, no down payment, no closing costs, anything. Now, my wife adjusted that with decor and new furniture and things like that. But originally, we got in there for, Sean did his job. That's not his fault. My wife has certain tastes that are always more expensive than mine. And so sellers get ready for that with either a price adjustment or giving something to the buyer. I've heard of people giving away a car. Buy our house, get a car. You know, fully furnished. And so, okay, let's get back to this one. So the biggest, when you're selling a house, the biggest mistake sellers and or listing agents make is pricing it here or even here. You know, Mr. Johnson down the street earlier this year got $850. I'm getting $850. I don't care what anybody says. I hate that guy. And so they get either competitive or they think what's right is right. And so this is not the $850 is not the market anymore. You know, and so, and then other people say, okay, well, let's price it at the market. Well, but that's not where the market is. You got to get in front of the market and price it here. Okay, and so now you get more eyes on your property and more action. Now in this scenario, because it's a good value, you might even get it bid back up to here. But if you price it here, people are not going to see your property. National Association of Realtors did a survey and saw that if your house is priced correctly, only 60% of active buyers are going to see your house. All right. And in this market, that's probably even less. If it's overpriced, only 30% will see it, because people don't look at, they won't look at everything. They set parameters. Okay, we want to see everything under 750. Well, they're not going to see your house at 765. Okay, and that's the natural assumption is that, oh, well, let's price it higher so we can come down. Well, they're not going to see it. And then if you languish and you stay on the market, now you're in trouble. Yes, sir.
So with I would say the regular practice of pricing the property below market, what's
Ahead of the market.
well ahead
Because last year we would have priced it up here. Because if it was going like this is where you'd want to be.
well, so if you're in a neighborhood and average selling, well, again, all amenities, taken into consideration, number of bedrooms, bathrooms, size of all that stuff. Let's say they're pushing average mill. If you went on the market with, not 950, that should attract some buyers right away.
Absolutely. No, that because now you're considered a value, right? The competition is selling at a higher price or sold at a higher price. You're a value. That's what buyers look at, features and price.
So how would you talk to a property owner who is unrealistically overpriced the property given the market conditions?
Well, I show them numbers, and show them, hey, look, this is what sold. This is what the market's doing. When this place sold in September, that means that in August, they were in escrow. That means they had August comps, and they had August interest rates, which we do not have now. And some sellers just do not care. Some sellers this is where I raise my family. Okay, what's that got to do with value? Don't you know what? Johnny hit his first home run and we had a party here. I'm like, that's fantastic. And so and that's why real estate is a very strange animal, because it's usually someone's biggest asset, biggest investment, but it's a heart thing. That's part of the family, Ha!
I think you got to keep your mouse or bring the screen back alive. Okay. Well, while you're doing that, okay, so let me throw one more at you. I know, some of the folks in Grove Beach. These people own those properties for 30, 40, sometimes 50 years. So you're talking about the price that they paid once upon a time is well below what even a very conservative number would be for the region today. But there are people who are trying to bank out, like grossly bank out and overpricing the property. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll put this at 6 million. It's like 6 million. Are you kidding me? Like at best, maybe 3 at best. And then you bought it for what, like 100,000? Come on, man. Like make your money, be happy with it, and move off into the sunset, man. But you're asking for a bit much. But they're gonna hold on to it with a death grip, and they're just like, no, I want 6 million.
Yeah, people are set in their ways, and there are people on the buyer side are like that too. They those places priced at 750. Let's offer 5. Well, are you bananas? Hi, Craig.
Excuse me. On the macro trends, what do you see 6 months down the road?
Oh, brother. Yeah, I don't have your mind, man. I am so local. What the things I read is There's a possibility that they're going to raise rates again next year, but then I've also read that because inflation, the fighting of inflation, gas has gone down a little bit, and that inflation is starting to level off, that maybe they won't, maybe they'll even lower the interest rates. And so on macro, man, I would ask you.
You know, the question that I see is there's limited inventory. So even though the interest rate is going up, which is putting downward pressure, it's the inventory, you know, supply and demand. So that's why it seems like it's kind of stabilizing. Am I getting it right? Am I
No,
reading
you're
it?
absolutely right, and that's, where is that? There's our inventory right here. We're only 4,000-ish. At the top, it was 27,000. You know, there's just not enough for the county.
And that means people are not putting their houses
On the market.
Some
Right.
of that, absolutely, because a lot of people are saying, where am I gonna go?
Okay.
Where am I? The people, a lot of my listings are people in a situation where they have to move. I got a listing coming up where they want to move because the sister lives on the property too, and they're not getting along. I have people that want to leave the state, people that want to be closer to the grandkids, but people that want to just move laterally, you know, don't do it. You know, that's a losing proposition. Anything else? I know Mark's got something to say.
I
That's
couldn't-
odd.
No, I couldn't stand the silence.
No.
Do you get, on the buyers, do you get any buyers from other countries? I know one time I ran by you, the CCP, China's buying up a lot of property up in North Dakota, farmland. And do you see that in California, whether it be China or any outside the US purchasing property?
Sure. And they're not my clients, but I've lost to them before because, you know, they came in with big money. But that was when the market was super hot and people were buying anything. But, you know, not in, a lot of times if it's an entity or something like that, they're buying up tracts or they're buying up as opposed to individual situations. They, you know, big guys like to play with big numbers. But no, I don't have, I won't take them. Unless they pre-qualified with Sean. Anybody else before I give it to good looking Sean? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Everybody. I think can you guys hear me okay if I talk at this kind of volume? Use my outside voice. Raise your hand if you can't hear me or if I say something dumb. Great. Okay. Okay. So I'm Sean Courtney. I'm the mortgage doctor. My company is Community Mortgage. Been in the mortgage industry since 2005. Appreciate the opportunity to talk to you all today. I've met a few of you before. Very welcoming. So thank you for giving me your time and attention here. Happy to share with you some of the fruits of my work and my business over the last 17 years. A couple of things that I've learned and that have really driven me toward doing what I do. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about who I am. I'm going to talk a little bit about my company. I'm going to talk about home ownership in San Diego. I'm going to talk about real estate investment. I'm going to go through a few scenarios of that. And then I'm going to finish with a couple of my ideal clients. So got maybe 10 minutes. So I am the mortgage doctor. The reason I call myself the mortgage doctor is because we're in a transactional business. Jack and I, we get paid when we do transactions. That's the business model of our industry. But what I found is that most of the value that I give my clients doesn't happen in the transaction. It happens before the transaction and after the transaction. So the relationship, the trust, the consulting and helping them understand what they're doing, and are they doing it right for them? Jack did a great job of explaining the market, but the market for most people, the decision to buy real estate or sell real estate is 90% what's going on in their life and 10% what's going on in the market. We want to make sure that we understand our clients on a level when we go in for a checkup, the doctor is asking us, like, what's going on? How are you? How's your quality of life? Are you able to do the things you want to do? And so we look at our clients holistically in terms of where they are in their life, where they are in their financial life, and we want to help them make better decisions around real estate in that fashion. So a couple things, I'm a certified mortgage advisor. That's about 1% of mortgage professionals have that designation. I'm also a certified military home specialist because our veterans, especially here in San Diego, we have a lot of veterans in the community. Obviously, they enjoy giving each other a hard time, so they're easy to spot. I formerly hosted a TV show on Real Talk Media, along with Jack on the radio show. So I had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people in our industry and really understand what makes our industry tick, how to build relationships with other people in the industry to help our clients win. And I got a chance to talk to a lot of real estate agents around some of the decisions Jack was talking about. So if they have a bunch of offers, how do they make those decisions? Like, how do they pick which offer to select? It's not always price, which is normally what most people think. Oh, you're going to take the highest offer. Maybe the highest offer is not good in some other way. So it's important to understand that. I'm local. I grew up here in San Diego. I went to UC San Diego, so I've seen the San Diego real estate market up close in my family's life and my client's life, and so I have a good understanding. San Diego, we're a microcosm of what's going on in the rest of the country. San Diego is sort of unique because there's only so much San Diego. Right? Like if you go south, west, you're not in San Diego anymore, right? You're in the ocean, or you're in Camp Pendleton, or you're in the desert. So San Diego, like, things happen here a little bit more acutely than they happen in other places that have a little bit more room to expand. I'm also a real estate investor myself. I have a Facebook group where I have other investors like me. I bought some different properties throughout the country, so I bring knowledge of really, my own mistakes to when I'm talking to people. So my company is Community Mortgage. As I said, we're really founded on helping build stronger communities. What I've learned, even as a kid growing up in Poway, a lot of the other families, they would move away. San Diego is getting expensive, right? This was in the 80s, right? Right? It's too expensive to live here. We're moving to Texas, Oklahoma. And it took me a while to unwind and figure out over the course of my career is they were renting. They didn't own their home. So they didn't have the choice. So the people who owned and were building equity, and more importantly, they were controlling their housing expense. They were able to stay. They had better options available. They were able to belong to other communities, church communities, school communities, all these other things that really empower and make the community of San Diego strong. So I'm going to go through a couple of scenarios, but I want to just maybe do a quick show of hands so I know kind of who I'm talking to and kind of what might be important to you guys. How many of you own your home currently? Just show of hands. Okay, maybe about half. How many own any kind of investment real estate? Okay, a couple. And who's interested in owning investment real estate? Who doesn't currently? Okay, cool. So I'll go through most of the scenarios. So this, I'm going to go through sort of what we're looking at, like what the property is, some analysis, and then some of the long-term ways that we build wealth through real estate ownership. So this scenario would be someone who's buying a home to live in. They're currently renting. And so this property, as Jack was alluding to, so this property got listed back in August 750. It didn't sell, or it went pending. It was twice. Now they've cut the price. So this is kind of a starter family home in the Allied Gardens area. It's currently listed for about $700,000, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. But so I'm a nerd also. Jack mentioned he's a real estate nerd. I'm a math nerd. I'm a psychology nerd. So that's kind of what got me into my business, because I'm fascinated by people and I'm fascinated by numbers. And so there's a lot here, but basically what we're trying to understand for a homeowner is this is a rent versus buy decision. This isn't a when I'm choosing to buy. This is a when I'm choosing to stop renting and start owning. So we want to look at it through that lens. And that lens is, if I'm renting this property, because for me, like the sexiest, non-sexy thing in the world is a 30-year fixed mortgage. Right? It's like, that's the most boring thing ever. What are you talking about? But like, that is where the magic happens. Like a lot of, you guys are business owners, right? What if you could take the biggest expense of your business and say, that's not going to change for the next 30 years? Right? Like a lot of us, that's payroll, that's whatever that is. Maybe that's materials, maybe that's supplies, right? So it's going to stop. It's not going to go up anymore. That's what happens when you own. So your mortgage payment over 5, 10, 12 years stays the same. Does rent stay the same? No, it doesn't. In fact, in San Diego, it goes up by about 6%. Over the last 7 or 8 years, more like 8%. So conservatively, right around years 5, now what it's costing us to own is essentially what it's costing us to rent. Oh, then we own for 10 years, we own for 12 years. Now there's a gap. The rent cost is about $7,700. That's a pretty conservative rental increase. So what that gets us is that saves us $83,000 in actual just money out of pocket, right? Out of your wallet when I'm paying to live there. We know there's other benefits of owning real estate too, right? So we know that the property is probably going to appreciate. We know that part of what we're paying in our mortgage payment is actually paying our loan down too. So that's where, when we talk about wealth building and ownership, there's 3 basic things that work. There's also some tax benefits too. The most recent tax law sort of changed that a little bit, especially for us here in California, and how those tax benefits work. But if we're looking over the long term, and I'm happy to share the slides with you guys too. I know a couple of you are taking pictures, but so the first few years, it's a struggle, right? Owning real estate is not easy. For those of us who own it now, we know like things come up, we're responsible for them. We're taking on a commitment and responsibility, but like with most things that we commit to and we're responsible for, we see long-term benefits. So over the course of time, over a 12-year period, we're seeing about $1 million in wealth building. So that's to own. So the metrics when you're an investor work very similarly, but we're sort of on the other side of the equation, right? Like someone else is paying us rent to live in our house. So this next scenario is a property in El Cajon. This is a 4-unit investment property. So for those of us that are stock market investors, we think about two ends of stock, right? We think about, I'm buying a stock because I think the stock is going to go up. So I'm buying an Amazon or I'm buying an Apple stock. We think the market value of that stock is going to go up. Or maybe we're buying Coca-Cola, right? Like Coca-Cola's been around for a long time, they have an established business model. The markets, they're probably not going to just make a massive increase in market share. People probably aren't going to stop buying Coca-Cola products. So they're going to make a dividend. They're going to make cash flow. We might not see the stock go up and down a lot, but they're going to consistently pay their investors a dividend. So San Diego is what I consider an equity investment. We're going to see values go up, but the price that we paid for that property, the rents are not particularly high in comparison to how much we have to pay to acquire that property. So this property was listed for $1.8 million in September. They haven't done anything with the price. Jack probably knows better than I do, but I don't think they're going to sell it at this price, considering it's been on the market for a little while and considering the rent. So to own this property, we're talking about $12,000 a month, and they're only collecting about $6,300 a month in rent. So we're upside down in terms of owning that property on monthly cash flow. So There's a couple ways to fix that. You know, I'm showing this with a lower down payment, so a 25% down payment, which is still pretty significant. But one way to mitigate that is to put more down, right? Like you're gonna bring your monthly operating costs a lot lower. I don't like owning real estate where I'm upside down every month, where I have to put money into it. We want to make sure that the property's paying for itself, because that helps us in our other areas of our financial life. But regardless, even looking at this scenario, we are upside down. So we're negative cash flow, roughly about $50,000 a year. It's a lot. But where we're seeing gains is we're seeing this property appreciate at around 6%, which I think is conservative for San Diego. But we're seeing about $2 million in appreciation gain. Also, part of what we're spending here is paying our loan balance down, so we're gaining some additional benefit here. So then over the course of time, over that same 12-year period, we're seeing a much bigger, we're seeing a $1.5 million gain of that money that we put in.
That's grossly under rented too.
Right, yeah,
Four
so
units
so
at
a lot of times people who are investing in San Diego, they're seeing a property, they're like, these rents seem low. Or, hey, I can put an ADU on this property and I can generate another opportunity for rental. Or, hey, I'm gonna knock this whole thing down and I'm gonna build bigger. There are opportunities in San Diego to invest that are outside of the cash flow.
John, you're not taking into consideration also the depreciation that you can be taking advantage of.
Right,
Depreciation goes out in 39 years and you can be using that money for all your other income.
absolutely. Yeah, so great point. You know, one thing that it's a little bit complicated because everyone's tax situation is different. It's hard for me to say, oh, you're gonna save this much in taxes, but there are a lot of great tax benefits when you're owning real estate investments that you can bring your other taxable income down. Anyone else have any questions about that? Kind of flying quick on time. So alternately, this would be more of a cash flow investment. So this is a smaller property. You can get into a little bit less upfront commitment. This is a starter home. You know, this is a family home in the Memphis area of Tennessee. Out there, we see values a little bit lower. We see rent income a little bit higher in comparison. So that this market is softening too. So this property was originally listed for $265. It's now at $220. So the numbers are a little different. This one's cash flowing right away. So this property, you're getting about $1,700 in rent against a $1,500 payment. And so we're seeing more cash flow increase here, and less of the amortization gain, less of the appreciation gain. So I wanted to use two examples on kind of opposite sides for that.
Do you have a rental agency? Or do you have overhead costs?
I built in the property management on both those scenarios, so I've taken about 10% off the gross rents for management. Yeah. So I have properties out of state. I've never actually seen the property because I have a good property manager. They're like, it's a great property. So again, the wealth building, not as much of a hockey stick because we're not getting the appreciation in that market. We're only getting about 3 or 4% appreciation on the property, but it's a nice cash flow. We know we've got enough money coming in that we're going to cover our investment. Great, as you're moving into retirement, that's my strategy. I'm probably about 10, 15 years from retirement. I'm trying to buy properties now that I can get paid off, so that way when I'm ready to step back from my business, I got cash flow coming in to help support my life. So a few of the people that I work very well with, I work with people who are currently renting. We just had a lady that we've been working with for 10 years, so we do invest a lot of time and energy in helping people plan for home ownership. We work very well with working people, professionals, self-employed people. I know my way around a tax return. I'm self-employed myself. I know what it takes to help self-employed people put themselves in position either through their business planning or just some tax planning to help them look better when it goes time to go get a loan and have a lender calling up in your DNA, like Jack said. Also, real estate agent, Jack, by the way, he's a very humble guy, but he's a very, very good agent.
Handsome.
Very handsome. And funny. Yeah. So if you guys have the opportunity to work with Jack, he's one of the best in town. And also, I love talking to other people who talk to people about their money, tax people, financial planners, other types of folks. One question? We have time for one question?
No, I was just saying 5 minutes.
Oh, okay, thank you. Sure.
Yeah, a lot of people are aware of the veterans benefits that the federal government offers, but California also has veteran benefits. How do those apply?
So that's not an area of my expertise, but yeah, so there's the CalVets program, that's very good. One of the things is there's an additional homestead exemption for veterans. You know, if you have someone, I can look into that, point them in the right direction. I'm not an expert on either of those programs. I work very well with a VA loan, and that's already a phenomenal benefit for our veterans. Yes, sir.
All that stuff you said is very good, but it's also after the fact. It's qualifying for these loans. A while back, I had a settlement, I had some money, but I didn't have the proper income. And nobody would sell anything to me. I thought that house for 220,000, that was amazing. Let's take that for an example. What would be the down payment on something like that? Or let me ask you two questions. What is the normal down payment on a mortgage loan? And what is the credit score that's needed to qualify? And then also kind of, you know, the income afterwards, which was my problem.
Right.
Yeah. And I do want to mention too, that a while back, this friend and I looked at a fixer upper for 1.3 million. Fixer upper, 1.3 million. Okay, so how much is your down payment? What is the credit score needed? And afterwards, income.
So those are all great questions, and it's sort of a two-pronged approach. So the most economical way to do it is to use conventional financing. That's a typical bank loan that some of us have done, where they're going to look over everything, and they probably look at your income and they look through the lens of like what's on your tax returns. And so for some of us, especially self-employed folks, we're employing tax strategies that don't necessarily show as much income. So the second way to do it, we have some new investor products. It's called non-QM. But there's a whole kind of emerging market for these. So to answer your question, with the conventional loan, this type of property, I've set this up as 25% down. You could do as little as 20% down. The other programs, typically that's going to be 25% on an investment. And they look at alternative forms of income. So they're going to look at maybe just the rental income of the property, which on this property is very strong.
Usually not your first home.
It depends. Yeah. Yeah, it's usually not, but it has to make sense, right? Like if you live in San Diego and you're buying a property outside of the San Diego market, like you're not going to live in it, right? Like your business is here, all your life is here. Credit wise, it's better to have good credit, right? So if you're 720, 740, 760 credit score, that's great. It makes things just easier and better. But I've done loans for people with 620, 580, 560 credit. It's not always pretty, you know, and if someone's got that kind of credit, we want to do a little bit more planning, because like, is something going on right now, or did something go on in the past? Because we don't want to put someone in a situation where they have ongoing financial problems that we haven't solved, and now we're giving them more responsibility.
Thank you so much. Good information. I just want to say that both of our speakers, Jack, say your name again one more time, Sean, have just enlightened us on our property, whether we own or rent, or have kids that need to own or rent. I can give you lots of good info on that, because I've encouraged my young ones to buy. Okay. In 2 weeks, we're going to have a wonderful speaker, Tom Shank, from Mind. Next weekend is Thanksgiving. So sorry we won't be here, because we're all going to be with the gobble gobble, wherever that may be. Okay. I think we have Mark who wants to say a few words today. Did you want to say something, Mark? Oh, Mark brought us some ribs.
Yeah.
He's on the path. Okay, 15 and Denmark. Oh, gosh. And they're pre-cooked. Thank you so much. Yes. And I'll be the first one to taste test, okay? Let's close. Heavenly Father, I thank you for all these good people in the room here, Lord. Just bless them, encourage them, Lord. Give us strength and wisdom. Help us to be healthy, wealthy, and wise as we go forward, Lord. I pray for our Skyline Church and the new members and the new people coming to visit, Lord. I pray that they are enriched, enlightened. And I pray for any family that may not be here this weekend, Lord, and that may come in the future, Lord, just bless them. I pray for anybody with infirmities, including myself, Lord. You've given me strength to walk and to carry the torch, Lord. I just thank you for that. And I just pray for any family member that may be ailing right now, Lord. Just heal them with your miracle touch and surround them with angels, Lord. And thank you for your wonderful presence in our lives. And Thanksgiving going forward, Lord. Each one of the families being represented here, Lord, bless them. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. God bless you all.